Hey, welcome back to my channel edtech. It's Meera here, your instructor for the session. And today we are going to talk all about CSS grid, an introduction, all the basics and essentials. I'll be first giving you an introduction, a peak introduction in this session, and later on I'll be making other serial for explaining and diving deep into CSS grid. So let's head over to our CodePen HTML file. So let's have a container. We can call this the div class fruit container or just fruits, but this works as a container for the rest of the kids which are going to come under this. So in other words, div class equal to fruits is the parent, and you'll be having a lot of kids under this, or children. Div class let's call them item. Think of some fruits. I want to make 9 types of fruits, sorry. Six, 7 types, 8 types. I think now we have about 9. Okay, the first one is apple, maybe banana, next one. Grapes, could be anything, just fancy. Mango, pineapple, cherry, berry, pineapple, first cherry, then berry, so now we have a div class. First item is apple, the kids. Next is apple, next is banana, grapes, pear, kiwi, mango, pineapple, cherry, berry. So 9 types of fruits. They are the child items under the container of fruits. This is a parent. Let's head over to our CSS. Since we had the first class as fruits, the container is fruits. So let's style the container or the fruits or the parent. Display grid. As it's a grid class, background color, let's give it red. Color of font, let's give it white. Font size 30px. Okay, now we have to kind of arrange them into columns, right? So 9 items. So if you want to distribute them evenly, grid template, choose grid template columns. So when you use auto, so automatically it gets distributed evenly. Later, other measurement system and sizing will be teaching in the later tutorials, but this is just the basic to follow. Padding 13px, let's say. Okay, now let's say I want to do a gap between these. Okay, so let me give grid column gap So grid column gap is 30px. You can see this. So remember column, first column, second column, third column. So you have to have a gap. You have to have a distance. Go to the items. Background color. Let's say aqua. Border, let's say 2px. Solid black. So now you have a proper grid here. Padding. Font size, you can either have it here or there, that's okay, absolutely okay. Text align, make it in the center. Right. Under fruits, we spoke of grid column gap. So you can see this gap, 30px. If you increase this, it increases, right? Okay, so let's stick to 30. Save. So instead of saying grid column, okay, but before I go into shorthand, I have one more stuff to show you. You can also make a gap or a gutter between the rows. Let's see how much. Let's say 25 px. See, this is interesting. These are the rows, right? First row, second row, third row. So there's a gutter made here. So this is the gutter. That is 25 px. Okay. Another way you can use a shorthand. So remember, this is like 25 and 30, right? Row and column. Sorry. Just delete this first. Write a shorthand. Just write grid gap 25 px 30 px. Okay, so what does this mean? Row, column. Let's say so I increase the row from 25 to 55. So you can see the gutter increasing. Now you can see the column increasing somehow. So this is shorthand. So when I write two values together, just grid gap, this means first the row and then the column. Just remember that. Okay. This one more thing to show you. Just a quick one. Here we have all the classes as item, right? All the fruits as item. So let's change two of them. See the first one, apple, can we make it like item 1? And the next, okay, so let's just do with 1. Okay, so class item 1, grid I'm sorry, it should be inside. What does this mean? When you say grid column start, it's for a line. So you have these lines, right? It was the first line for the column, second line for the column, third line for the column, fourth line for the column, and so on, right? All these are the column lines, and these which goes horizontally are the row lines. So I'll show that again once the gap disappears. So but let's start here now. So grid column start, let's say 1, so that is starts at line 1, and 3. Now this you will understand better if I remove the gutter. Let me remove the gutter. Okay, so here you go. Let me just remove this again. Cut when you see the difference. Okay, so previously, where's the other line gone? Okay, that's because we call the rest of them item and this is item 1, so it's standing out to be different. So let me first do a bit of styling for this color before we go into other stuff. Oh, sorry. What's happening to my keyboard? Okay, so this item I'm showing in pink so that you can understand better. Now this is quite equal except for the color. So let's see the magic. But before I do that, I need to explain the lines. So column, first line of the column, second line, third line, fourth line, and this was for the row, first, second, third, fourth, and so on. So background color pink. So grid, what we'll be doing, column. So I want to do grid column start. Starts at which line? Let's say it starts at 1. So it starts at 1. I forgot to do the border. Okay, now fine. So grid column start 1, which means if this item apple with the class of item 1 starts with the first line, this first line. Then end. What does this mean? So it starts at line 1. This was line 2. Ends at line 3. So it expands and takes up this area. So this is the meaning of that. Okay, now for the row. Grid row starts 1, line 1. So the grid, which is the first line, this for the row. End. Three. So starts at line 1 for the row. This was 2, so it doesn't end here. It ends here at line 3. Let's say I make it like 4. Expands further here. So are you getting me? Let's say the start 2. Then it goes to the second line. This is starts at second line instead of the first. So I hope you understood this. The same set for column. Instead of start 1, if let's say you start at 2. So this is the second line. So it starts at the second line. It ends at the fourth line, the final line. So this is how it goes. So I hope you have some idea into the introduction. I'll be explaining more of the size functions, the properties individually with more complexities in my series of tutorials under CSS Grid. This was just an interesting introduction. Very interesting, right? This is like really useful if you want to make a website, like landing page or any kind of website for your fashion, for restaurants, for any category, which looks very evenly distributed and looks if you want to make your website really look exciting and interesting, bold and beautiful, very attractive, grids are useful for that. And in fact, it's so easy to get proportionate ratios, as you will see for the further chapters. But in this chapter itself, in the introduction, you see how easy it is to move around with your sizes, to move around with your structure, just with certain simple properties of the row and the column. You'll be doing much more in templates as we go along further in the series. So until then, ciao. Creating Grid class series. Okay, ciao again. See you in the next lesson with CSS Grid.